just, to me and my family, I think he just tries to, he just wants us to listen to him complain.
Well, do you think he wants, you think that's his plan? I want them to listen to me complain, or do you think his complaining is out of control as your response to him is out of control? In other words, you don't mean to feel the way about him that you do, but you do, even though you know better. Still, the momentum is strong enough that so do you think that the same thing might be happening to him? Do you think that he might just have enough negative momentum going that he can't break loose of it?
Probably.
And does that soften the way you feel? Because you can sort of relate to that.
Well, I can, and I've learned just to love him from afar.
And yet you're not. Because you're not loving him when you are criticizing him, and you're not loving him when you are seeing him as unlovable. In other words, those are very different frequencies. And so what's happening is, you see, the reason that he feels so uncomfortable to you, the reason that you feel so much discomfort when you focus upon him, is because you don't want to feel uncomfortable. And there's a history, there's a practiced vibration, there's a belief system. So it's harder. Other things are easier. So in most cases, we say to people, if you're tripping over something every day, if you're tripping over it, get it out of the way and stop tripping over it. Why trip over it every day? But there are some things that you just can't move out of your life experience, like the person who is responsible for the very existence of your physical beingness.
Exactly.
In other words, how wonderful is that he was part of the very avenue that brought you into this time-space reality. So with that, foremost, come other expectations. You gave me birth, and then finish that sentence.
And then you've caused me pain for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels really off. But how about you gave me birth? You gave me birth. I'm glad
I can
I'm
go
alive.
back to that. I can go back to that. I have a tender feeling in my heart for that.
So do a little bit of that here. Now.
Well, I'm grateful that he gave me birth.
Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. I'm confused.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, the reason that we're dancing around this a little bit is because we want you to feel that, first of all, it's not uncommon to hold the people who are responsible for you being born here. It's not uncommon to hold them responsible for how you feel now you are here. It's just something that you can't control. So that's where the wobble really started. In other words, we said the other day that if you're standing in a place you don't like, you almost always want to explain how you got there. That anybody that's feeling regret about anything is not standing in a happy place. So we really want to ask you, because you started out talking about how wonderful things are mostly, except for just that one thing. But really, if things were wonderful except for just that one thing, you would have enough wonderful momentum to carry you through just that one thing, unless it's something that you've been beating the drum of and feeling resentful for a long time. In other words, there are a lot of people that hold a lot of resentment a long time for their parents. That's why we always playfully say, we know you think it was your mother's fault, or we know you think it was your father's fault. But the bottom line is, you are the only one who can control the way you feel. And it's time to let go of giving the responsibility to anyone else. So what we are getting at here is that we know for sure that the discord that you're feeling with your father is not about how he's treating you when you're talking on the phone today. It's not about that. It doesn't just start with this phone call. It's about this long time momentum that's been going on. And the two of you have a sort of standoff going because he can't do enough to change the way you feel now. That's the way he's looking at it. He's given up. Why even try? Why even try? I can't win that love back. It's too far gone. And what we would like you to show him is that it's not too far gone. It only takes one in a situation like this to tune in and begin flowing a little different. And it's not going to be him. So if it's going to happen, it's got to be you. Sometimes people will say to us, Abraham, this is going on in this relationship, and do you think I should leave? And we will sometimes say, yeah, you're tripping over something that you don't need to trip over, and maybe it's a good idea for you to take off. But then we always say, but if you're leaving that situation because it's unpleasant, then you got to get out of town too, because there are unpleasant things in town. And now you got to get out of this state and out of this nation and off this planet. Now we don't know where to send you, because in every place you go, there are unwanted things. And we know you've got to be saying, yeah, but some things are just more unwanted than others. And some things have been more unwanted for a long time. And that's the thing that this conversation will lead you to a clearing of, if you allow it to, is that it's the practiced vibration that you've continued to practice right up to this point. In other words, even as we are visiting here, you're still practicing the same vibration. And that vibration says, somebody else needs to be different in order for me to feel good. It is the best conversation to help us discuss unconditional love that's happened so far on this voyage. So, the only question that will ferret out what to do next is this. Would you rather love, or we're going to use a strong word, hate?
Love, always.
Do you more often love your children or worry about them?
Love them.
Do you more often love yourself or hate yourself?
Love myself.
Do you more often love your father or hate your father? He's the exception.
Honestly, yes, I'm right down the middle. I just couldn't.
Well, he's the exception. He's the exception, and that drives
the problem.
You crazy, because more than anything, more than everything, more than life itself, because it is life itself, you want to feel love, and he won't be lovable, and hasn't been for a really long time. Hasn't been for a really long time. Oh, we love your Father. And we love that he won't be lovable, because he'll teach you unconditional love, which will serve you better than everything else that you've ever learned, ever. And that was your plan when you made the decision to come, and he's keeping his promise.
Thank you.
He said, I won't be jumping through any hoops for you, so you'll have to find your way. You have to find your way into alignment.
Okay.
Don't you love knowing that? Is
Yes.
it helpful to know it? Or are you just giving up because you can feel how stubborn we are?
No, I love to know it. I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
Be playful about it. Be easy about it. Don't beat up on yourself for not loving somebody who's not lovable. But let all those issues go, like, he doesn't really care about us. Well, he can't care about anybody. He's disconnected. He's got nothing to give. So he's all spent. He's all bled out. He doesn't have any of those energetic alignment resources to give you. Don't look for them from him. You're looking for love in all the wrong places. Don't look for it from your parents. Don't look from it from your lovers. Don't look from it from look from it from the place of its source. Look to the headwaters of source. Look to the headwaters of love and find love. And once you've tapped into the headwaters and you're all filled up with it, then love, even your father. But don't ask your father to be the headwaters of love. It was never his intention. He was the seed that gave you life. and that's a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question has a couple of parts. It's also about relationship. And the first part is about communication. And so, given that we should all be in alignment, we've certainly heard that, what is the best, wisest path of least resistance with a friend, lover, colleague, family member, if you perceive that at least superficially you have opposing desires? Is it always best to communicate? Because that's where we're told, keep the lines of communication open and whatever. Or is it just better to...
Keep the lines of communication open in that sense is the same thing as saying keep the discord active.
Right.
Keep the resistance active. Keep the thing that's hindering me from what I want active.
Right. So is it a good plan of attack to... That's the wrong word, but...
That's the right word. It's the right word because it doesn't work, but it's the right word.
Right. So can we just have faith that if you stay in alignment and hold your desire, that the fairies of the universe will just orchestrate it? You don't have to plant a seed. You don't have to...
Here's the thing. Every desire, every desire that you hold that feels like it is being opposed by another person with a desire, at the heart of both of those desires is something that is compatible. Both think that you'll feel better in having of it. Both feel that a soothing when you think about it. In other words, somewhere there is a compatible basis for it. But there's a tendency to want to continue to debate or consider the details, the specifics, where you are opposing. So when you think about, at some point you are in alignment, and maybe it's so far back that you can't find it. But then as you move outward, your desire is going this way and the other one's desire is going that way, and there's a big time wobble between you. So you have to go back to the place where there is no wobble. The analogy that we were using at one time was your mate wants to live in the mountains and you want to live by the seashore. So it feels like there's no place for you to live together because you've got your heart set on one thing and your partner's got his heart set on another thing. Well, what happens in that situation is you both hold yourself apart from what you want by making the details too literal. Where if instead you'll start talking about why you want what you want. As you begin talking about why you want what you want, what begins to happen is you begin to notice that there are a lot of compatible components. And this time-space reality does have the ability to deliver to each of you what you want without tearing you apart and making you have to live apart. You want to talk about the specifics of something?
Well, I wanted to tell that gorgeous black man that my thing is invisible. I'm a total weirdo, and I didn't really know how much of a weirdo I was until I was sitting at dinner with people thinking that a lot of my desires are things that I really want in terms of the evolution of the species, and we'll all be headed to the same direction. And then I was sitting with people who said, "Oh, I would never want that." I was like, "Okay, well, good variety." But yeah, well.
In other words, you want to say to him, "You're misunderstood too."
Yeah, I did want to say that to him.
Yeah. She's misunderstood too. But this audience likes weirdos, right?